Hello all of you out there in Azeroth. Today we have the Interior Guard versus Halfus. It's going to be a grudge match. These two have met before and have had a lot of back and forth. Beginning out here we of course have Eldoric The Guardian Tank, as he is known, playing Adler, his warrior. And he's going up against Time initially. The setup here was, of course, Time was first, and if you know something there that they did, it's a fairly interesting thing. They went ahead and they pulled that second Drake. You're going to be able to see it here in a moment. You can see Stick War, one of the DPS coming in there. Yes, two Drakes are up at one time. Eldoric is tanking them both. So the goal here, obviously, for the Interior Guard was to hold on the best they could, use cooldowns, big heals on the Guardian Tank there, and attempt to take down that first Drake before, well, the Guardian Tank went down. So, as you can see here, pretty basic strategy. Holding their own. You got to watch the fire on the ground, lessen that raid-wide damage. The DPS did a very good job of that, and of course the healers. Right here we have Tote, the main healer for the guild, leading our healers on to victory against this Drake here. So they're going to continue to plow away at Time, really hoping to gain the upper hand and be able to take that Drake down, because this is probably the most dangerous part for the Interior Guard during this whole fight. And can they do it? A little movement there, and yes, Time goes down for Team Halfus. Not looking good for them. Now we only got Slate up. Damage should be a lot less, but keep in mind, it took a lot of cooldowns and big heals to get Eldoric through that double Drake strategy. So even though he only has one on him now, it's going to be rough, and that DPS is going to have to hammer. Of course, there's a fine roster of DPS helping the Interior Guard out today. The guild leader should do a better job and get a roster up here in the booth next time. And as you can see, a little more movement, pretty standard. Just want to say that this portion of the Interior Guard versus Halfus brought to you by the Guardian Tank podcast, available on iTunes. Yes, and the Worgen keeps walking away. We can see some mage insanity coming over from the left there. Halfus is being held pretty well. A little bit of kiting going on, mostly motion. The whole strategy for Halfus right there is just hold him on. Got a dedicated healer on that tank. We'll probably look at... Oh, and Slate went down. Slate is down. Now we're all on Halfus here. Now, Halfus, of course, this is not one of the more difficult setup. And we got Zan off tanking, holding on to Halfus during this fight. Did a fine job. Eldoric is going to kind of take a back seat. And Eldoric, of course, playing Adler. Sometimes confusing because he always goes by his druid name, even though his main is a warrior by the name of Adler. And he has a bad habit of changing his characters' names about every 2 weeks just to throw people off. Now, just hammer away on Halfus. No big surprises. Now, one thing I want to point out is that they seem to have left the third Drake down. They're not going to go ahead and pull the third Drake. They're going to back off, and they're just going to hold on to downing Halfus in one go. I believe it was neither they had available, which I believe causes a stun. A 10-second stun, which is a helpful thing, but I guess this team, the Interior Guard, decided, hey, we're going to just go ahead and blaze through it. A good thing for the DPS, because instead of having to worry about hammering out another Drake, they can completely focus on just killing Halfus at this point. And it looks like the tanks have no trouble holding on. Zan's doing a terrific job, as he did through the entire fight, just bashing away on Halfus. A little bit of kiting to avoid the flame spurts from the proto-Drake there. Oh, and we're at the first knockdown. That's 2. That's 3. 3 knockdowns, and they're back at it. Now, some really good movement right there. Even though they were getting knocked down, and they had to deal with those flame spurts, the guild kept moving every chance they got. So, lessening that raid-wide damage. Again, the shadow goes to the healers right now. I believe we have Mortlock out there also, a paladin healer doing an excellent job keeping the tank up right there. Raid-wide damage looks very manageable. Now we can see Carlock's right up there in front, healing away, doing a great job. That's a female Draenei shaman right there. Okay, and we're back into it. That was the second set of stuns. So this Interior Guard team is just hammering away. You can see Stick War. He's an arms warrior in the DPS, and that's refreshing to see. Quite often you only see the old Fury model when you have a war, but he goes with arms, and highly commendable. Very fun spec. Now, again, you can see this moving, trying to move out of those flame spikes, despite, and it pays off for Eldoric because he was able to completely get out of there in time. Missed an interrupt there. Did manage to get a knockback from Team Halfus here. Still hammering away. About this point, Halfus is starting to weaken. The end isn't near, but of course when the end isn't near, that's when you start to see a little bit of trouble because healers are running out of mana. Tanks are running out of cooldowns. Now, luckily, with this given setup, both the tanks are available. So if Zan did go down, Eldoric could come in and take over. But that would only be a temporary stopgap. It probably wouldn't win the day for him. So we're going to have to see how this holds out. So the tank situation looking pretty good. DPS looking pretty good. Doesn't look like we have any real DPSers down. And what's this? Halfus is down. Score 1 for the Interior Guard.